Good morning, I'm Maddie Jansen, and this is the podcast of 17 News at Sunrise. It's everything you need to know to start your day in about 15 minutes.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, the city of Arvin becomes the first to approve a mask ordinance, what they're requiring of county employees coming up. And the governor's in talks with county officials on flexibility when it comes to lifting restrictions, why they asked for it, and what Newsom had to say still ahead. And happening today, an aerial tribute for healthcare workers and first responders all across California. We'll tell you where and when you can expect to catch this flyover on this Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. All right, good morning. It is 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen, and we're going to get to your forecast this morning in just a few minutes. But first this morning, we want to talk about the latest cases here in Kern County. Let's take a look at the numbers that came in from Kern County Public Health as of yesterday. 30 new cases of the virus were confirmed and 2 new deaths were added to our total. That brings the total number of positive cases here in Kern to 1,326. Kern's death toll now stands at 17. More than half of those deaths are from the local nursing facilities. More than 10,000 tests for COVID-19 have come back negative, and more than 2,200 are still pending. At least 800 people have recovered from the virus. A second nursing facility in Bakersfield is reporting its first COVID-19 death. According to state officials, at least one resident has died at the Orchards Post-Acute Skilled Nursing Facility. That's on 34th Street near Memorial Hospital. The California Public Health Department website shows residents and staff at the facility have tested positive for COVID-19. Right now, cases aren't high enough, though, for the state to report the exact numbers for privacy reasons. We reached out to the Orchards for a statement, but have not heard back. Meantime, Kingston Healthcare Center has reported at least 9 deaths among residents, and more than 100 workers and residents have tested positive for the virus. The state, which regulates these facilities, has sent nearly 40 replacement healthcare workers to the facility to help because of a staffing shortage. 5:02 is your time now. Governor Gavin Newsom says California has completed 1 million coronavirus tests. Increased testing is one of the criteria Kern County must meet to reopen faster. So the county's opening new testing sites. There are 3 state-sponsored sites at the Prado Center in Northeast Bakersfield, the Kern County Fairgrounds, and the Mojave Veterans Building, plus 6 new testing sites sponsored by the county. One expected to be at the Westside Family Health Care Center in Taft, one at the Good Samaritan Hospital in Oildale, and one's at both Kern Valley Hospital, Ridgecrest Regional Hospital, and Delano Regional Medical Center, and another in Arvin. At these new county sites, anyone can be tested regardless of symptoms.
The idea is let's find a way to identify cases earlier and intervene earlier, so that we not only get a better understanding of the scope of the virus in our county, but also to further limit its ability to transfer from person to person.
Some of those testing sites will be drive-through testing sites where you just get the test at your car window. Others will be walk-ins where you're tested inside a clinic. All require appointments, however. The county says results take up to, and in some cases, longer than 48 hours. Governor
Gavin Newsom says his administration is in contact with the leadership of Kern County. He says Kern has asked for flexibility on the guidelines we must meet to fast-track reopening. Kern has already met most of the guidelines except for 2. But Newsom indicated he is considering accommodations for the Golden Empire. He did not provide specifics, but did talk about the reopening of additional sectors statewide, including shopping malls, pickup only, outdoor museums, botanical gardens, car washes, pet grooming, and dog walking services. Those can reopen, but with modifications and with county approval. Still not on the list is dine-in restaurants. Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Nick Ortiz weighs in.
If there's an industry that can get through this and that can open safely with a focus on a sanitary workspace, with a focus on protecting customers, I think restaurants can do it.
Ortiz says he is in touch regularly with local restaurant owners and stresses they look forward to reopening swiftly but safely. The governor says when dine-in restaurants do reopen, they'll need to follow these guidelines, have disposable menus, or post them online. Employees will not be allowed to preset silverware on tables in advance. Instead, that will need to be pre-rolled in napkins before given to customers.
Your time now is 5:05. A dire warning from Washington against states reopening too soon. In remote testimony yesterday, the nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, told the Senate that COVID-19 is not under control and could affect students going back to school in the fall. He says if states reopen too quickly, it could lead to a resurgence. He also said there are more than the 80,000 plus coronavirus deaths on record. The White House is defending its approach to reopening despite a new model from the University of Washington that ups the death toll to 140,000 deaths possible by early August.
The city of Arvin is the first in Kern County to require employees to wear a face covering at work. Last night, the city council voted 4-1 in favor of the proposed ordinance. It requires all employees to wear masks while they're working or they face a fine. For the first-time offenders, it's $250 and $500 for a second citation, then a $1,000 fine after that. City officials say the goal is to protect the health and safety of Arvin and its residents. The rule takes effect immediately and expires June 9th. The ordinance isn't clear on whether employers will provide the mask or if employees will have to bring in their own. And that is the subject this morning of 17's interactive feedback poll. We're asking you this morning, should all workers in Kern County be required to wear a mask on the job? You can call or text us at 661-888-4617. Press 1 if you think they should, 2 if you don't. And you can also text, tweet, email, or Facebook your comments to us. Once again, our feedback line is 888-4617, and we'll air some of your comments and have the first results coming up at 5:30.
Developing news this morning, a person is dead and 4 others hurt in a crash on South Union Avenue. It happened late last night near Kern Road, east of Pumpkin Center. According to the CHP, the driver of the silver Nissan made a left turn in front of a pickup that was headed south on Union, and the two hit head-on. A passenger in the Nissan died at the scene. 2 others in the Nissan and 2 in the pickup were hurt. CHP says it does not appear that drugs or alcohol were factors in the crash.
And another deadly crash, this time in southwest Bakersfield. It happened yesterday afternoon at the intersection of White Lane and Grissom Street. Bakersfield police say a man driving a black Honda Civic ran a red light and crashed into a semi-truck. The Civic then hit 2 more vehicles that were stopped on Grissom. The driver died. No one else was hurt.
Well, the Kern County District Attorney's Office has found an unusual way to keep certain alleged criminals behind bars rather than release them on no bail, per last month's order by the California Judicial Council. District Attorney Cynthia Zimmer's solution charged them with looting in the midst of a declared state of emergency. DA spokesman Joseph Kinzel confirms that Zimmer's office filed looting charges in 44 cases in April. The move essentially gets around the Judicial Council's statewide mandate that sets presumptive bail at $0 for crimes such as grand theft and burglary. 17's Robert Price will dig deeper into this story on 17 News this evening.
Happening today, an aerial tribute for healthcare workers and first responders all across our state. And you'll be able to catch it right here in Bakersfield. 4 fighter jets from the California Air National Guard's 144th Fighter Wing in Fresno will perform a flyover throughout California. It begins at 10 a.m. in Fresno. Crews will fly north to Sacramento, then to San Jose, then move down the coast to Los Angeles, then back north to Bakersfield, and then back home to Fresno. The jets are expected to fly over Bakersfield at 11:48 this morning, according to a news release. However, keep in mind that those times could change plus or minus 10 minutes. The exact location of the flyover is still unknown at this time.
Welcome back here at 512. College students in the CSU system are looking at more online classes this fall. The California State University system says its universities will mainly offer online classes. There are some exceptions for lab courses, clinical training, and other in-person activities. The decision was made in large part because of health concerns related to COVID-19 as colder weather approaches.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back. It is 5:24 and happening today. Business owners can get some guidance on how to cope with the COVID-19 crisis this week. Managing your small business during the pandemic crisis is a webinar scheduled for later today at noon. It will discuss loan forgiveness and employer retention under the CARES Act. This is the 9th weekly webinar hosted by the Small Business Development Center at CSU Bakersfield. Again, that is happening today at noon. Local families are getting more help to buy food. The Kern County Human Services Department will be mailing pandemic EBT cards. They're meant for families who qualify for free or reduced school meals through benefits from CalFresh, CalWorks, Medi-Cal, or foster care. The department says families will receive up to $365 per child, and these cards are separate from regular EBT cards. If you already receive benefits, your card will be mailed later this month. And if you qualify but aren't receiving benefits, you'll be able to apply online. You can find a link on our website, kget.com. Here in Kern County, restaurants are starting to reopen with some changes to match the state's guidelines. And we have a new website that we've launched called Kern Back in Business, with the latest news on what restaurants and stores are doing and how they're reopening. Again, all you have to do is go to our website, kget.com. JCPenney is reportedly in talks with lenders to secure $450 million in financing ahead of a possible bankruptcy filing on Friday. Sources say options include letting the retailer get half the money up front and the rest if it hits certain milestones while in Chapter 11. JCPenney is working on a plan to close up to 200 stores. It has nearly 850 department stores and roughly 90,000 full and part-time workers. Twitter is the first major tech company to let some employees work from home on a permanent basis as the virus outbreak forces major changes in how we work. Twitter says it won't reopen most offices before September, and employees can choose whether to come back and when. Reports say Apple will bring some employees back to its global offices very soon. It will have them return in phases over a few months, with the first group being those who are unable to do their jobs from home or are facing challenges doing so. A dire warning from Washington for states opening too soon.
A top expert with President Trump's coronavirus task force tells Congress the disease is not under control and could affect students going back to school in the fall. NBC's Tracy Potts reports.
Maddie and Alex, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Governors, a handful of them, are meeting with the president in person at the White House today to talk about reopening their states, as one of the president's top health advisors contradicts him on whether the U.S. is on a path to reopen safely.
I'm not sure, Senator Sanders.
The nation's top infectious disease expert warns of danger reopening America too fast.
There is a real risk that you will trigger an outbreak that you may not be able to control.
In remote testimony, Dr. Anthony Fauci tells the Senate that 80,000 plus coronavirus deaths on record is likely an undercount.
There may have been people who died at home who did have COVID, who were not counted as COVID because they never really got to the hospital.
Thank God for Dr. Fauci. Thank God for him having the courage to speak truth.
Dr. Fauci added going back to school in the fall will depend on whether students can be tested.
We will have and there will be enough tests to allow us to take this country safely through phase 1.
What our country has done so far on testing is impressive, but not nearly enough.
Meantime, Democrats unveiled their plan for the next phase of coronavirus funding.
Opening our economy safely and soon, honoring our heroes, and then putting much needed money into the pockets of the American people.
Republicans insist that spending be targeted.
This is not a time for aspirational legislation. This is a time for practical response.
It's not clear when or if more funding will come up for a vote. The White House is defending its reopening plan, even with a new report out of the University of Washington predicting 147,000 people will die of coronavirus by the first week in August. Tracy Potts, 17 News.